Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. This is take 2. We had a really good one all taped, and of course, they screwed with the sound again. Just when we get all the settings right, it happens every day pretty much.
Yeah, it's par for the course these days.
Yeah, and not only that, but what's happening lately is like we go to play certain things, and then the speakers go all fuzzy and distorted, and then we reboot, and then they're okay, and so. Yeah, it's part of the never-ending battle.
Yep, it's what you sign up for, I guess.
Yeah, it can be extremely frustrating, but you keep going ahead. And so this is from our own Miss Nicole up in West Virginia. And WSO has been covering, along with Dave Dobbs, an object that they call the Dobbs object. And a lot of people have seen a thing that looks kind of like a fiery twin comet, that's put together. So we're wondering if this is possibly that. Of course, the official explanation usually given for something like this would be that this is basically, and here's a blow up of it, just an airplane, and it's just the fact that it's getting towards sunset and the light is refracting in a certain way. That's what most people would wash it away as. But is that the case? This is kind of curious. It's definitely a curious thing to see up in the sky. There's a lot of curious things, and we have some really curious stuff going on as well. So here is the video.
You can't see it, but that don't look right. Looks like a comet.
So she thinks it looks like a comet.
It don't look right. Looks like a comet.
So is it just basically the way the sunlight is reflecting off of the contrail of the airplane? Well, you guys decide on that one. And let's see, let's jump over to this one. The sun is getting more active. Yesterday we were talking about like just how if there was like a double CME, the first one could end up laying the path and cause the second one to be even more powerful. That was off of an article, I believe, in Live Science yesterday. And then, lo and behold, Deborah in North Carolina sends us this, as you see, 2 arcs here developing off of the sun. And I don't know if Wages World has anything to say about this yet, or WSO and some of the other guys out there that follow this. Interesting, though, timing.
It is really curious timing. That's pretty interesting.
Now, this is really interesting, and this we just kind of discovered. Now, this is from Will, and I believe this is in Montreal. Now, I don't know if Will even noticed these, because we didn't notice these until we kind of blew it up. But he was talking about this strange blue light that he saw. And then, as we were blowing it up, we noticed these things. And these are kind of like similar to what a lot of other people have caught. I know Naughty Beaver did a video on this maybe like a year ago, watching one of these things, I think in Sweden or Germany, I forget. Interesting. Is this not? This feels like something that's alive? Plasma?
It does feel plasma-ish. It also feels like they didn't really mean to be captured.
Really curious. So this one is very, very interesting. And so he sent a series of photos in, and that was actually like the last photo. Here you can see what initially caught his attention, and I gotta wonder if that's just cloud there too. Was this blue light in the sky. So they pulled over, here you go, to see what this was, and we're wondering, is this like a laser? Is this some sort of, what is this? Is it military? And again, this is in Montreal, Canada. Unusual blue light in the sky.
This one feels benevolent, very, very benevolent.
And I wonder if we could take a peek at this. And blow it up a little bit. It looks like you could see energy trailing off, doesn't it? Sort of. I almost get the impression of arms coming off, don't you? Do you? Or is that just me?
It does really feel benevolent, angelic.
It's really curious, for sure. And here again is that other photo with the squigglies. Whatever these little worm, snake-like things are. Very, very curious. So thanks, Will, for sending that in. That's definitely interesting. So when we look at this, we see scientists find promising super habitable planets that may be better than Earth. And there's a few articles here that are talking about it. So basically what it boils down to is there may be a even more ideal place than Earth, and they've found 24 that they think could be possibly even better for life than Earth. And part of the reason is these planets are a little bit bigger. Like they were saying, ideal would be maybe 1.5 times the size. It might have a little bit more water. I found one of the things that was really interesting was that ideal is actually about 8 degrees Fahrenheit warmer than what we have. And of course, we're always being told about how dangerous, global warming is. And this is probably the point where the voice is going to start to go crazy in the video when we start talking about things that they really don't want us to talk about. The AI kind of catches it. And so, warmer is better and more moisture is better. And also a star that will live longer than ours, because, there are stars out there that live quite a bit longer lives than our star does. So all these things would lend to the possibility of creating a better, much more habitable, a super habitable planet in comparison to Earth. Now, all the ones that they found are about 100 light years away, which with the current technology that they tell us that we have would make it impossible for us to really reach it. But then again, maybe not impossible when you look at a civilization out there that maybe is 500 million light years ahead of us. I mean, what would that look like? And they do talk about that as well, the fact that some of these stars out there have had planets in the habitable zone for much longer than what Earth has been in the habitable zone. As far as our star and our planet, it has a relatively short window of being good for life and suitable for life. And there are others out there that have a much longer window. So that would lend one to think that there must be much more advanced civilizations out there with beings that are far, far more advanced than us. It's pretty interesting stuff. So, as it says, our sun has a relatively short lifespan of less than 10 billion years, and it took nearly 4 billion years before any form of complex life appeared on Earth. Many similar stars to our sun, called G-stars, might run out of fuel before complex life can develop. So in addition to looking at systems with cooler G-stars, the researchers also looked at systems with K-dwarf stars, which are somewhat cooler, less massive, less luminous than our sun. They have the advantage of long lifespans of 20 billion to 70 billion years. So if you have a star that lives 7 times longer than ours, and you're talking, our sun right here took 4 billion years, and we're at the midway point supposedly in our star's life right now. Then just imagine that 70 billion years. And that sweet zone for life being so much bigger than what we have. Obviously, there's much more advanced life out there than what they let on.
Yeah, there is. I mean, this is like slow drip disclosure.
And we see over here a star is born. And so this is basically a star factory or a star nursery. And there's a beautiful video in there to show you And the results are stunning, most definitely. When you look at this, it's a stellar nursery, so it's a dense mass of molecular hydrogen and assorted other gases with a sprinkling of space dust, which collapses under its own mass and begins to spin up, eventually creating a disk of material which turns into feeds into a protostar before, boom, the sky is lit up once more as a star is born. By the way, Mars is going to be at its closest approach in 17 years. It looked really brilliant a couple of nights ago when we were watching it. Spectacular. Remember, Mars is the god of war too, and so there may be those out there that look to take advantage of that. As we know, the elites definitely follow astrology and make note of when the planets and the stars out there are in favorable positions. And as we've talked about before many, many times, so this is from the Rig Veda, and it talks about 432,000 humanoid races in the multiverse. That's a lot of different types of humanoid beings.
That's a lot, and I think we should be taught this from like kindergarten.
Right, and so the Proto-Vedic and the Vedic cultures presently trace to, and mainstream science has always been trying to tell us that they're not as old as, like, say, Sumeria or Egypt. Yet, when we look at it, there's evidence out there that this predates the Sumerian culture and the Egyptian culture, and we're just discovering that more and more all the time. There was recently the discovery in Turkey of another city, which unfortunately, as they are excavating it right now, they're doing it against the clock because the Turkish government's going to build a dam in the spot, and it's going to be flooded, so we'll never know. But this is a city that probably is concurrent or even predates Catalhoyuk, which may be up to 11, 12,000 years old, going back to the Younger Dryas event and the last major cataclysm. So, our history, unfortunately, is always being covered up and not really shared with us. And they have an agenda because they want to push that Mesopotamian civilization as being the first civilization, Sumeria, Akkadian, as we've been talking about. And, the system that we have, we inherited from them. It's metamorphosized, it's changed over time. But that system is the current one that we still have, and it's morphed through many different empires, including the Roman, the Holy Roman Empire, the British Empire, and what we have today. But we see, like, when we talk about the people of this Indus Valley and the cultures that had developed there, they were very, very peaceful, and they didn't seem to have a central authority. And they didn't seem to have military storehouses like we have with the system that we ultimately inherited from the Sumerians, which is a system that, according to their legends, it's basically one in which the gods created humans to be their slaves. Although we feel strongly in the message that we have gotten is that it's not the case, that we were here already. And when we look at the second chromosome, they did not give us an upgrade, they gave us a downgrade and locked us into a more limited framework of consciousness. And then they also gave us our religious mindset to keep us in fear of discovering our own powers and abilities and just who we are. Look, again, they could be just like us. We can't let them know that. We can't let them have it. And that's why we see everything going on in the world right now as knowledge is abounding. And we are getting enlightened in so many ways and understanding things. Well, that's why we have the conditions in the world right now, because they cannot have that.
I know, they want to slow it down, and I think maybe we're going to do another show on those CIA papers about how they knew that these times were coming. They were thinking of ways to slow down our ascension, evolution.
Yeah, both the CIA and the FBI did studies to see the changes in consciousness that would come about when exposed to more cosmic radiation. And basically they found that psychic abilities, quote-unquote paranormal abilities, which are not really paranormal, that's what we had in the first place, is, these things that the yogic traditions talk about, clairsentience, clairvoyance, clairaudio. What was that one?
Clairaudient.
Yeah. And which is actually happening to me a lot lately, as far as actually hearing, being able to really hear voices from that closest density to us. As we have had the ghost, basically, of a woman that was killed in a car accident nearby visit us several times, and she seems to be very confused. So it's really fascinating to see all this. And again, life is abundant out there, all different types of life as well. So I look forward to your guys' opinions on some of these photos. And I found this one really curious with these guys.
That is really curious. I feel like they really didn't mean to get on film.
So guys, thank you so much for your support on Patreon and Ko-Fi. We could not do it without you. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.